Well, good morning. I should say, actually, it's the afternoon now. It's 12:05 on Sunday of March the 7th, 2010. It's been a couple of weeks since I've recorded a video for upload, and I wanted to get back in the habit of doing that on a weekly basis so that I can air some of my ideas and tell the people that watch me regularly what's happening in my life and how I interpret things to be, for whatever that means. Um, I had a rather sad occurrence here lately with the death of my remaining aunt on Dad's side of the family. That entire line is now gone, and I just wanted to show a clipping of the obituary just momentarily so you can see who that person was. If I can get it right here, hold on a second. I think there she is, yeah. That was my Aunt Dorothy. She was 96 years old, and she died on February the 19th. The funeral was held on February the 22nd. Now, Minnesota has had its share of snow, and the burial place where her remains will be interred, her ashes, I should say, is going to be at the Brush Creek Cemetery. And that will probably be in the spring when the snow is melted off, because at the time of my attending the funeral, just about everything was covered by about a 5 or 6 foot layer of snow. Very bitterly cold, sub-zero at night, in the teens and low 20s in the daytimes at the warmest. So it was pretty cold and pretty snowy, and decided that I didn't want to retire to the state of Minnesota, I guarantee you that. As to my aunt, she went through a colon cancer operation, which was entirely successful. There was no problem with that. She was cleared of cancer. Unfortunately, they could not get the renal system to boot up again, and she died as a result of kidney failure. That's how she passed. Now, having said all of that, that causes me to reflect on the cousins a little bit. My older cousin, Bernadine, the mother of my second cousin, Barbara, who I stayed with and who I communicate with fairly regularly, is 90 years old. Cousin Bernadine is, and we communicated with each other. I told her, I said, I think it's entirely appropriate that we call each other cousin, because that's what we are. And she says, yes, I suppose you're right. And so from here on in, if I call her, it's going to be, what's up, cuz, instead of, hi, Aunt Bernadine. Saying what's up, cousin, makes us seem younger, I guess. At least I feel that way. And the older you get, the younger you want to feel, believe me. You do not want to put any great benefit or privilege in being older. Well, as I said, that generation is gone now, and it gives me a kind of a strange feeling. It's sort of like a door softly closing. Silence. Nothing. All the voices are gone from them now. My father had passed away in 2002. My Aunt Julia was 99, and she passed away in 2007, I believe it was. And now my Aunt Dorothy is gone now, and she was 96. So now there is silence from that side. The older brothers have long since gone. I find it strange to think of it that way, because if you're looking for some information about your past and want to tap into a human database, which is what my Aunt Dorothy and Aunt Julia were, because as old as they were, they could still remember their childhood. They could remember how things were during the Great Depression. My cousin Bernadine, the same way, at 90, can remember how things were, how people lived, how people got by. My father and my mother both also told me the same things while they were alive, and I always asked them questions about it and tried to remember as closely as I could. And I'm starting to write it down to make sure that it gets on paper before I start forgetting too much. So I guess I would urge people that are watching me and listening to me today to ask your elders questions. Ask them about how things were. If there's any of them left alive from that period of time, take the time out and ask them, because they will tell you. They will tell you. They'll let you know what's going on in that era and what happened to them, how things were, what kind of a living they made, and how tough it was to get by. And you'll understand a little bit about where you came from, how you think, what your background is, and what it is that what it is that can be done if you have a mind to do it. I think that's the biggest lesson you can come from it. I just wanted to read part of the obituary because it's instructive when you think about the fact that Aunt Dorothy, although she was not a well-educated person, she had accomplished a number of things and was the rock-hard foundation of her family, along with the other sisters. And what we see here is she had gotten married May 5th, 1943 at the Rice Lake Baptist Church. And Dorothy and her husband Reuben, my Uncle Reuben, he passed away in 1971, I believe it was, owned and operated two family businesses, the Redmond Motel and the Redmond Garage in Brush Creek. Brush Creek is still there, probably about 40 or 50 people in population. Hadn't changed much. She was also the caretaker of Brush Creek Cemetery for over 30 years. So, when we talk about the lowly state of women in those days, they were the foundation of everything. As a married couple, my Uncle Reuben and Aunt Dorothy ran two businesses, kept the family together, and were able to feed themselves, house themselves, became well known in the local area. My Aunt Dorothy was a very generous person. In fact, my cousin Freddie was telling me one time that many a time a homeless man would be hitchhiking down the road and couldn't get a ride and would fall down from exhaustion. And my Aunt Dorothy would feed him and give him drink, give him a sandwich, glass of milk, anything to let him rest for a while so that he could get his strength back before he was on his way again. And this is the kind of person that she was. We'll miss her, that type of individual, that strong a character. And, well, that's pretty much all I have to say about it.